Today on Shop Nation, we make some serious progress on the new Workbench build by adding lots of functionality, including adding the router table insert, the deep drawer storage, electrical, and dust collection. And if that sounds like something you want to do, check out the full color plans that I'm following to build it. Welcome back to the workshop. I'm Travis, this is Shop Nation, and we're gonna jump right back into building part 3 of the Workbench by putting all of that into the Workbench, in addition to building some additional inserts that go inside. Now I'll say it again, one of the nice things about these plans is that you can really do it in whatever order you want or what works best for you. So I think I'm gonna start by building the drawer insert and the router table insert that goes inside, but not quite put them in the Workbench yet. I wanna make sure we have enough room to put all of the electrical and dust collection connections and components inside the Workbench. So using the handy dandy cut sheets and my brand new table saw, we'll break down some plywood. Back to having a table saw, and it is awesome. You'll notice I'm still using my track saw to break down the sheets though. I'm starting to think this hybrid approach is pretty good. Also worth noting that I don't have any kind of dust collection hooked up to the saw yet, so kind of messy. Alright, so with all of the pieces for the carcass cut out, now I can just assemble the box in preparation for installing the drawers. But before I do that, like we did on the organizer insert, I'm going to install the drawer slides prior to putting the box together. This just makes your life a little bit easier with a little bit of forethought. First, marking the top and bottom edges for reference. This is a habit I've gotten into that has helped me avoid a lot of mistakes during assembly. Not all, but a lot. Mrs. Shop Nation doing some quick spot checking. So you'll see the same basic steps here during assembly of the different inserts. First, glue and brad nails to keep everything in rough shape. Then I'll come back and reinforce all the joints with countersunk screws. I thought I'd throw some clamps on here for good measure while I pre-drill and drive in the screws. Then finally adding the back, which is really going to add a lot of strength and rigidity to this insert box. And because I'm following these ridiculously awesome plans, everything should fit just perfect. Perfect. After some serious life contemplation, I finally figured out that I actually put the vertical support in the wrong spot. Had I followed the plans correctly, there wouldn't be an issue. Okay, so with the carcass of the drawer insert in place, now is a good time to stop and do the electrical and the dust collection system. Now we're going to start with the electrical, and I designed it to be as simple and user-friendly and approachable as possible. If you go back and watch my ultimate Workbench build, there's quite a bit of wiring, and I ended up getting a lot of questions about how I did particular things, and I just really didn't feel comfortable answering them because I'm not an electrician at all. So for this build, I'm trying to keep it really simple. I'm using mostly off-the-shelf components. You don't need to do any wiring, and at the end you're going to have a workbench with auxiliary power on each side of the workbench, as well as a trigger for the dust collection system that sits in the dust collection cabinet. So for incoming power, I'm going to use this really cool little plug that I think is used for marine applications. This is going to sit on the other side of the workbench, and you're going to plug in an extension cord into this, and the other end obviously goes into your wall. The idea here is that you don't have a cord attached to your workbench, so as you're moving moving it around, you don't have this thing dangling that you need to keep track of. I've approached this problem a couple different ways. In the Ultimate Workbench, I did a fixed cord, which was nice because my bench in particular didn't move. In the Compact Workbench behind me, I used a cord reel, which is really a cool application, but because space was at a premium, I decided to go this route. With power coming into this plug, it's going to power this heavy-duty surge protector, and from here, it's going to power everything else on the bench. So again, really simple. It's literally just plug and play. And for the outlets on each end of the bench, there's going to be one located on this side and one located on the far side. I'm just going to use these sort of flush mount receptacles. These are rated for 12 amps. So most of the hand tools that you're going to use around this bench are perfectly fine to run through this. I will note you do not want to run something like a table saw through these because your table saw, as it starts up or is in a heavy cut, is going to draw probably more than 12 amps. So I plan on plugging my table saw in directly into the wall. So to get this stuff mounted, we just need to cut some holes, a rectangular hole for this recessed power outlet, a circular hole for the incoming power, and then while we're at it, we'll cut the openings for the dust collection blast gates as well. This design allows almost exactly just enough room to squeeze all of this in, so it's important that if you change anything, double check that you're not creating a problem elsewhere. I love cheap tools. So glad I saved that 38 cents by going with a combo set of drivers and extensions, said no one ever. My son is absolutely obsessed with hand power tools. We ended up just leaving a circular saw in his crib to play with. I'm kidding, it was just a reciprocating saw. Jeez. And while I'm showing my small child how to use power tools, let's take a moment to thank the sponsor of today's video, and that is Policy Genius. Policy Genius is America's leading online insurance marketplace. I think we all understand how important it is to get good quality insurance, but shopping for it can be a giant pain. That's where Policy Genius makes it really easy because you go to one stop and you could shop across many different carriers. And they let you search for home and auto insurance all in one place. The reality is, most of you out there have to have a home policy as well as an auto policy. So why not save a bunch of money when you're looking? In fact, Policy Genius has saved their home and auto insurance customers an average of $1,000 per year. And here's the cool part. When it comes time to renew, maybe 6 months or a year from now, Policy Genius will automatically shop for new rates. And if there's an opportunity for you to save more money, they'll let you know about it. So if you like saving money and protecting your belongings, visit policygenius.com/shopnation to shop the market and start saving today. I'll also put a link in the video description below, but seriously, take the 5 minutes. It's probably worth your time. Thank you, Policy Genius, and let's get back to it. Okay, so now would be a good time to talk about the dust collection system that I've designed to put inside the workbench. Now, as you can tell, it's pretty compact. It is not a full-fledged dust collection system that you can expect to hook up to something like a table saw. For that, you need a much higher flow rate that something like this can generate. So the main intent of this dust collection system is to handle any of the hand tools that you're using around the workbench and the router table. Now, there is an argument to be made that it may not be quite enough to handle a router table, but better than nothing. So for the equipment, I have this small vacuum. It's a Vacmaster Beast. I have no experience with it, never used it, but it has a small footprint and a pretty high output for its size. Paired with that, to remove as many solids as possible, is the trusty Dust Right separator. Now, I have used 3 of these in the past. This is number 4 for me. They've all worked really well. It's not perfect, but I like it because it's low profile, meaning I can fit it inside of shop furniture like a workbench. This little vacuum can only generate about 100 CFM, or cubic feet per minute. When it comes to dust collection, flow rate is king. And to put that 100 CFM into perspective, a medium-sized dust collection system that you'd hang on the wall will generate well over 1,000 CFM. So they're literally 10 times as much as this little thing. But for sanders and jigsaws and routers and things that I'm gonna use around the table, I think this is gonna do just fine. And for the table saw, I finally broke down and bought a big boy dust collector, a wall-mounted dust right blower capable of producing 1,250 CFM of dust sucking action. I know I'm notorious for wanting to hide all of my dust collection, but I've come to the inevitable realization that if I want a clean shop, I need something like this. This thing really is a beast and pulls an impressive amount of air using the 1.5 horsepower motor running on standard 110 volts. Okay, so back to the mini dust collection system on the Workbench. Using some 2.5-inch hose and a 3-machine fitting kit, which is linked in the description, the first thing I did was run the 2.5-inch hose lines. It's a tight fit in some spots, which is why you want to do this now rather than later. Next up is to simply add some mounting holes to the blast gates. Then just make all of the connections using the thumb screw clamps included in the 3-machine kit. Okay, so with the electrical and dust collection out of the way for the Workbench, we're going to move on to building the parts for the router table as well as the drawers for the drawer insert that we built earlier. Basically, I'm just going to be breaking down a lot of 3/4 and 1/2-inch plywood on the table saw, but I get to use my new dust collection system, so we'll see how that goes. Well, I can say that the bigger dust collector makes one heck of a difference, that's for sure. That paired with the over-the-blade dust collection, and I really didn't see a whole heck of a lot of sawdust coming out of those cuts. You can see some on the top of the saw, but that's really it. Okay, so with all the ripping and cross-cutting and cutting out of the way, you can see in front of me I've got all the pieces for the router table insert. And also you've got all the pieces for the drawers for the drawer insert that we've already built. So now it's just a matter of putting it all together. Now where the hell did I put the glue? Assembly is a bit more of the same. Glue, brad nails, screws, repeat. A super simple bottom drawer for the router table insert. Next up are the vertical pull-out drawers for the router bits. Now I'm going to make one pull-out dedicated to 1/2-inch bits and the other for 1/4-inch bits. You can obviously customize your needs to do whatever you want here, but I really like how I utilize this space to make your bits easy to get to. And here you see me putting them in upside down. Nice, Travis. I realized my mistake and fixed it later. Not a big deal. This one slides in perfectly with the designed 1/4 inch to spare. Okay, now on to the drawers for the drawer insert. This drawer design is exactly the same one I used for all 20 of my drawers for the ultimate cabinets you see behind me. I've come to really like them as a good compromise of strength and simplicity. There's a dado cut on the bottom of each side piece, which the bottom slides into. Then the bottom is screwed into the bottom of the front and back pieces. For large or wide drawers, I found this design really helps prevent that bottom panel from bowing, especially when you load it up with heavy stuff. And luckily I just need to make 4 drawers, 2 of each size for this workbench, not 20 drawers of 8 different sizes like the ultimate cabinets. And with that, we've reached a great stopping point for part 3 of the workbench build. I think this thing is coming along really nicely. I've really not run into any issues in the plans. The few little things I've found I've already corrected, and they really wouldn't make a big difference if you're making it yourself. As a reminder, if you want to build one of your own, I have full build plans available, link in the description. It's getting really exciting seeing this thing come together with all of the storage, the dust collection, the functionality. I'm already starting to use parts of it, and I cannot wait to finish it. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're not already subscribed, please do so. If you enjoyed the video, give me a like, and more than anything, let me know what you think about the build so far. Obviously, we've still got some stuff left to do. We've got to add the face frame, all the drawer fronts, the doors, and then finish. Many of you out there are gonna leave it as raw wood. Totally fine, but if you've seen around my shop, I kind of have a theme going. This thing is definitely getting painted. And I also have some really cool final touches that I'm gonna add that will be revealed in the last video. It's been a while since I've done a subscriber update, so we can do that real quick. As of shooting today, we are at 140,256 subscribers. I'm trying to remember the last time I did a subscriber update, and I think it was just over 100,000. So totally appreciate you guys. Thank you for the support, the words of encouragement, the criticism. I'm good with all of it. I will catch you guys on the next installment of this build as we add some finishing touches and get this thing looking awesome. Until then, keep pursuing shop greatness.